You and I just spoke on the CEO block call. How are your thoughts? Because I have my own, certainly.
Well, I have a couple of things that I saw that was a little troubling to me. The first one was when I asked my question, I was pretty much shut down as fast as he could and told that they would deal with me on the backside, behind closed doors, so to speak. And that's fine if there's some education I need, but I'm not an idiot and I understand how blockchain works to a certain degree. If I've misunderstood it, then that's cool. I'll learn some more. We can always learn, right? We're never always perfect.
100%.
But but anything I know about blockchain is if you're trading in a blockchain environment, you are using cryptocurrency to do so. And everything that I've seen says that it's Ethereum based. So I'm going to go and get the information from them. I will research it and I will report back to you on my findings.
The only thing I could
But
think of, the only thing that I could think of is XDC, which which I've talked about, and that's actually ETH based.
yeah,
And
but it's not XDC. I've
yes,
gone on their site.
no, no, no,
I
but
have a
it's for settlements, right? And it's on the ETH network, and it's next to nothing for gas fees. That's the only thing that I'm thinking
okay,
of.
and it may be, but as far as everything I've seen and the questions that I've asked behind the scenes, I've been told, well, they're going to mitigate that by only having a 1% fee to keep the gas fees down. But then he's saying there isn't any gas fees and that he's going to educate me on the backside. So I'm going to go take that free education from him because we can always learn. And like I said, I'll report back with my findings. But as far as I know, as of this moment, there are heavy gas fees and burn rates when it comes to Ethereum. And if you are trading there, it is going to add a whole nother level of things that you have to factor in when you're making a trade. If you're going to leave, so listen, it's good if you're never going to leave. If you're always going to leave your money in the market and you always want to trade there and you never ever want to take it out, it's great because they have a 1% fee, so it's really low. But if you say you did really, really good, right? And you're like, man, I'm up 300 G's. I want to go buy some blue chips with some of this money so I have a long-term stable investment instead of maybe some of this short-term moderate risk.
Yeah.
And you say, I want to buy a low risk, something that'll just perform for a long time. Well, if you go to do that and you find out that, hey, I'm going to lose 25%, well, if I only made 32%, that's not really a great return on my money for the amount of trouble and everything I have to go through. So that's the information I'm going to go get from them. I'm going to email them and we'll be in conversation and see. But that's very interesting to me. The other thing I want to say is they are getting ready to have a conversation with a gentleman that has more issues than anybody I've ever seen online. Like the guy is, in my opinion, he's dangerous. He's claiming now that 2 other people have been killed looking into his case. If you ask him how many people have been killed in total, the number is astronomical of all these people that supposedly have tried to help him that this big bad government is assassinating, which I do not believe for 1 second. The other thing I've seen is he has publicly character assassinated the head of the DOJ, these federal judges. Like, this guy is bad news to be involved with because the way he does things is not how responsible, mature adults act, in my opinion.
I agree with you. Now, one thing that bothered me, and I'm sure that anybody who listens to the call heard this, was the fact of if it's not solely listed on Upstream, right? How are they gonna eliminate the price arbitrage every
Well,
single
it'll,
day? And I know
well,
over time it'll after they tokenize, right? It could be seamless, right? But
and it will balance itself. And so you're going to have that initial period, but it's going to balance. They always
basically
do.
just
So
take
I agree
advantage of it
with
in the
what he
beginning,
said.
then if I can.
Right. So initially there could be some money to be made there. But in the long term, it will balance. It will level itself off like everything else.
I just don't understand how you can short in one market, right? And then it wouldn't affect the like the share price in upstream. Uh,
Well, effectively, you would stop the shorting.
well, how would you start the shorting or stop the shorting and say I don't know like the NYSE?
Well, because if you were on upstream with something that was also on the NYSE and you couldn't short it on upstream, your short would only be effective on the NYSE, and you would create this arbitrage like you're talking about that couldn't settle, and so
But that's gonna affect the
effectively they
price.
would but effectively they couldn't short it
Yeah.
because they could only affect the price in one place, which doesn't affect the price for them enough to do what they need to do.
Okay, so my personal opinion is that big money, isn't gonna like go there immediately, right? And I don't know. I just
So
really wasn't
so let
pleased
me
with the
let
answers.
me
I
just
guess.
throw a scenario out to you.
Go ahead.
Okay, ABC stock is on the New York Stock Exchange, and it's on this upstream, and it's trading for $34.
Uh huh.
And they short the ever living hell out of it, and they bring it down to like $19, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they just try to attack this thing like we've seen them do. What is going to stop every single person that is in upstream from selling what they have, going immediately to the NYSE, repurchasing it, and then transferring it over to upstream? Because you can do it just like you would do a transfer to the transfer agent. You could transfer your shares to yourself and then transfer them to upstream, and now you just paid $19 for something that is now worth $34.
That's my whole point. That's so you may have maybe we had a miscommunication, but you literally just like nailed exactly what I was trying to get across.
Right, so
Is
that's why they would not try to short it, because it wouldn't help them. Their short position that they tried to
how would
take,
it hurt them though?
because everybody that's trading on the blockchain would immediately transfer and kill their short position, and it would raise the price right back up. And it would put them underwater instantly, because now you have millions of shares that are available to come and smash you, that you would have no control over, and they could legitimately come straight into your market and crush you. They won't take that up. They won't take that chance. So those 24 companies they're talking about, they would pretty much just be off limits to shorts, is all that would happen. Because the price arbitrage wouldn't happen just because of the fact that they would lose. These
Do
people
you
aren't
okay?
stupid.
All
They're
right.
there to make money.
Okay. So all right. So you know how it works. Big money are going to be the ones making money, right? And
Sure.
and the SEC listens to big money, right? As we know, right? What?
Well, right now. But we know
Okay.
that Congress is restructuring the stock market at this moment.
Yeah. I mean,
They're in talks. Like, it's happening.
I don't know, man. I guess I was really thrown off by his divisiveness and how like he was like saying a lot without answering anything.
Well,
Um,
and I think that's because you still believe that the price arbitrage would happen, and the reason it wouldn't is because they would ultimately be looking at infinite risk. And if you could simply just move your shares from here to there and go smash them with a 20-ton truck,
it's the same
they're
cap
not
though,
going to.
Alan.
What do you mean?
It's the same market cap. It doesn't matter.
Well, right.
Tomato,
But if
tomato.
it's right, but if they shorted it on the New York Stock Exchange and you had all of these shares that weren't available to be shorted, and you were on this other platform and you now move to where they're shorting it, you could potentially, just by moving them there and not selling,
Mm-hmm.
you would potentially um, really cause a lot of havoc for them, because you're going to raise the price.
I, I don't know.
I feel what you're saying.
Uh,
Just
I
understand
just
it literally puts them into a situation of playing chicken with the company.
no,
And
no,
we
no,
know
no,
that
no. They're playing chicken with us though.
but well, right. But when I say the company, I mean the retail investors that are standing with the CEOs that are working with these CEO blocks, and these people have very diehard investors that are standing by the CEOs.
What about
So
MBBO?
when I say the companies, that's what I'm talking about. I mean these diehard people that have large holdings. They're essentially going to be playing a game of chicken they can't win, and they know that. They won't even do it. They'll just say, okay, fine. These 24 companies that moved over there, screw it. There's 2,000 other companies we can go do this to that aren't over there. And I think that's what you're going to see happen, because they're not going to put themselves directly in the line of fire to lose. Because yes, these people are not great, and they do things that are bad for retail, and they make a lot of money off us. I mean, at the end of the day, they have the friends that make the rules, so they get the shortcuts and the back doors open to them so that they can continue to hammer us. But when you take away those shortcuts and those back doors, they're not going to play in those specific tickers, because they don't have the advantage anymore, and they're not dumb. They're not going to lose their money. They're just going to move their efforts and their money to tickers they can still abuse. Does that make sense?
So I do understand that, but I guess follow up is like I talked about the price arbitrage opportunities, right? How in the heck do we think that the SEC is going to approve that if it doesn't have NBBO?
Well, and that's the real question. That's the $1 million question that everybody's waiting on. And it's funny because the SEC hasn't responded. Not yet, anyway.
Maybe
We'll see.
maybe we'll know more on with Gary Gensler's interview, and I will be
Yeah,
streaming that, by the way, for
and
those that listen to this later.
right. I just think that everybody's just got to have their mind open, their eyes open, be cognitively thinking, and realize that you can't, in this market, think as a trader. You need to think as a person that's abusing the traders and saying, what would I do? How could I do it? And why would I do it? And if you can answer those questions for yourself, you can put yourself in a position to not be victimized, as often, I guess, because you have to look at it from their perspective, because they hold the money, the power, and the control at the current moment until we get things changed. And we are working on change, and believe it or not, we're getting it, and we're making big strides. So for the temporary, yeah, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. And people just have to look at it from their perspective and from ours. You can't just look at it from a trader's perspective. You need to see what would they do, how would they do it, and why would they do it, and how does that affect my trading plan? Because that's real life, and you got to consider all the factors.
Okay, but you all right? So I have a quick question for you. Then you said to think about it not as a trader, right?
Right.
How do I think about trading stocks not as a trader?
Because you say, if I'm a hedge fund and I want to come after these retail investors and take their money, what are they going to put their money in? How do they act? How do they respond? What do they buy? When they buy, how do they buy? When do they leave? At what point do they say, okay, this is where I'm selling? Like, where are their stop losses typically? You have to look at the data they're looking at, and looking at how they go after the retail traders. And you need to then take that information, go back and start looking at it as a trader again. But now you have another factor of information when you're doing your DD, because you have to understand how they're going to do what they do. And it's really easy to see what they do. We know what they do. We see it all the time. So by paying attention to what they're doing and how they're doing it, will make you a better trader, because you won't necessarily stick yourself in a game of chicken that you may not win.
Do you want to see the only bonus that I see right now?
What's that?
The cost to borrow going up, and that's it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I see the market shifting up and down on specific dates and times. And
I mean, I can feel that too.
Well, I see people buying a lot of options right now. And with the amount of options that are being traded versus physical stocks that people are holding, I see them just scavenging premium like
Oh
crazy.
yeah, I mean, you see them
And
at like just sliding it, up and down.
right, they've got a freaking front end loader and a dump truck just collecting cash.
Yeah.
So until retail and people like myself say I've had enough, which I have finally come to this conclusion,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to buy any more options
Mm-hmm.
for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We got to let the options volume come way down so they'll stop doing what they're doing and let the market start acting like it should act. Because as long as there's tons and tons of people buying options, they're going to continue to just rake up the premium and collect as much cash as we'll let them take.
Oh, okay, all right. So now you said something that I understand where you're coming from, right? But as somebody who is seasoned with trading options, right?
Sure.
Um, I wouldn't, just like stop just for that purpose when other people are the ones getting screwed and I'm making money. To be quite
Well,
honest, it's because
and I
you
don't
because you got to look out for your pocket, right?
right. So I'm not saying that. Okay, so I'm not taking it from that standpoint.
Okay.
I'm saying as retail as a whole, and this is a message I'm going to start pushing out there to the masses that hear my voice.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get a movement started where retail stops buying options, then they will be forced to stop what they're doing. They have realized, okay, the game changed. These guys went to options. They figured out how to make money on what we're trying to do against them. So when we adapted what we were doing, guess what they turned around and did? They adapted what they were doing. And so now it's time for us to adapt again and change what we're doing because they're hammering us again. Because at the end of the day, the guy with the most money and the most control wins. And
So
so if they can
that
see our
brings.
playbook at this point, if we've been running the same plays over and over and over now, and they can see our playbook, they know exactly what to do, and that's why you're seeing so many options just get premium slaughtered.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. I just I don't know if I just like didn't like listen to that call the right way, or what it is, but I guess I'm failing to see a lot of the benefits at the current moment, given the current market circumstances. Now, when Congress changes things, that can totally shuffle, but at the current moment, I
Sure.
don't see the like the worthwhile
Well, let me ask
ness
you
of it.
this:
Go ahead.
if say 70% of retail
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden stop buying options,
Mm-hmm.
would it be beneficial for them to try to continue what they're doing and rake in the premiums?
No, but
No.
they find a different way to make money.
Right, and that's my exact point. So right now, they're using they have said, okay, we see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to snack up all your cash. Go ahead and keep doing it. Now that they have realized this and we've seen it, now all we got to do is say, hey, you know what? We see that they have our playbook, that they're seeing exactly what we're doing, and they're manipulating it. So now it's time for us to rotate on what we're doing again. We're going to change it up, and we're going to stop just giving them money, and we're going to make them work for it again. And so it's this dance, right? It
Neil,
goes back and forth.
hold on 1 second. Neil, that's gonna happen on April 18th. Gary Gensler is testifying, I believe. Um,
So here's the other thing.
uh
You're never going to get everybody to say, okay, we got to take a stand. You know what I mean?
of course not.
And so we just got to be smart about how we're trading. And if you know what they're doing, even if you can't get everybody else to adjust, you adjust. And if it means you got to buy something that's a little bit more of a long-term, safer investment until things, do what they need to do, then that's what you do to protect yourself, right?
Yeah,
Because we know that we should have seen a market correction already. We didn't, which means they are highly influencing the market. So now,
uh
you go back and look 40 years at stock market trends,
uh
we are way past a correction. Like we're
I know that.
So, well, here's the thing. If it's not following trends and it's not following what it typically does because it's being influenced and what normally happens is being changed, then how are you supposed to look at how things have been done and how things were adapted and changed and how it worked? How are you to continue forward if you have no data to reference because what they're now doing is something completely new? That's my question.
Well, I think that the bigger question is going to be how is how can we as retail best go ahead and execute this price arbitrage opportunity while it lasts, because I think that there's gonna be a lot of roller coaster up and downs while they do try to get things working properly
Well,
and efficiently. I think that
well,
that's what we need to
let's,
focus on.
and I'm not against that, but I want you to be realistic with your listeners.
I want you to be
How long?
realistic though too at the
No,
same
no, no, I
time.
am. I am. I'm
Okay.
just asking how long do you honestly believe that it's going to take before that arbitrage levels off? I know what I've got in my mind, what I think, but I'm asking you, like, realistically, now, because we know it's going to happen and we know there's going to be money to be made.
Yeah.
And we know that anytime there's money, big money goes after it just like little money does, right?
Yeah.
So if we know that and we know what they're doing, how long is it going to be before they turn around and say, okay, we're losing out on this money. We got to do something. And then all of a sudden it starts to level off and do what it should do. How long before that happens is my question to you. Are we looking at a month, a week, a year, 6 months, 3 months? What do you think?
Um,
Honestly.
I think that at first it's going to be a lot worse, and then it's going to gradually get better. But I think that we're talking like like at least like 2 months going forward, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I don't think that it's going to be an immediate fix. I think that there's going to be like ample time in order to go ahead and do this. And the reason why is because if there is a price arbitrage opportunity, right? Think
They're going to
about
take full advantage
they're
of it.
they're going to take full advantage of it, and they're going to be able to cover any potential naked shorts on whatever stock we're talking about for cheap or for money that they made on the price arbitrage.
Sure. And I'm not arguing that one bit. All I'm saying is if that's what we're looking at and that's what is coming about, I do not believe that it is going to be what would you say? I don't think it's going to be a 2 month process.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably going to be more like a 3 week to a month
Okay.
before this thing levels off and the forces that be, balance.
Okay.
Because you got CEO block that is fighting tooth and nail to stop these guys. You got these guys that are fighting tooth and nail to collect every dollar they can. Why they can? Because they know their time is limited, right? Like
Yeah.
they know that the time for screwing over retail is coming to an end very very rapidly. It's not going to be a forever thing. It's only going to be for so long, and so in my mind, when I look at it and I look at the money and the people and their motivations and how things work, I honestly believe that it's going to be, like I said, maybe a month, maybe a month and a half at the most. It's not going to take long before all of these people are in this battle and they get the battle figured out. Because one way or another, it's going to end. Whether it's the big money that wins or whether it's the companies and what they're doing that win, I don't know who it is that's going to end up on top.
Mm-hmm.
But big money, these guys, they make a lot. And they do it because they're good at what they do. And so people just need to, I guess, recognize that.
Yeah, I just see it as a potential money grab for the price arbitrage and potential like how many naked shorts are going to disappear in this process, somehow some way. You know what I mean?
Well, I
It's
don't
just
think you're
like
going to see the naked shorts disappear.
because of blockchain, you'd hope not, right?
Well,
But at the same time, they could then go ahead and take that money from the price arbitrage and pay the at the market price tag and cover their naked short.
well, right, but then that's them covering them.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
money's
From
still
money that they
going
just
back to
got from the
retail.
process.
Well, right, but then that money's still going back to the people um, that it should at that point, right?
I don't
I
like
mean,
the.
because if they're
I
covering the
guess
short positions,
I get it. I just don't like it. If that makes sense.
sure.
And
Yeah,
that and that's
no,
and
that
it's
I don't
okay for me to
argue
not
that
like. Yeah, it's okay for me to not like something, but still accept
for
it.
sure.
I don't understand how they're gonna do this without the extreme arbitrage opportunities like I'm thinking about. I mean,
Because
maybe you're
it's
right.
not going to be there long. Because what happens when everybody does something,
Well, okay, but the market makers are going to be better at it, and they're going to have a plan already in place. So,
right?
so they're going to be able to take advantage of retail doing that as long as
Oh, a very,
until
very little bit.
retail figures out how to do it, nearly as good as the hedge
Well,
funds.
let me tell you something. Retail has gotten so much better at what they're doing.
Oh, I agree.
Like retail has gotten phenomenally better at not allowing these guys to manipulate us. And so, for me, I think you're going to see. Um, I think there's a very huge opportunity here for retail to step up and show these, as I want to call them, jackasses,
Mm-hmm.
exactly how smart we've gotten and what we've learned. And go ahead and do what you think you can do to us. But at the end of the day, we've learned, we've adapted, we've overcome, we have gotten very, very good at all of this. So, you know what? Go ahead, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see how it works out for you at the end of the day. Because I don't believe that retail is as dumb as they think we are,
I agree.
because we have gotten really educated and we have gotten really, really good at identifying what's happening to us, around us, what's happening in the market. And so I think that they've got a whole nother thing coming if they think we're just going to lay down and bend over.
Um, I so usually I'm the bull and you're the bear, right?
Yeah.
In this situation, I think that our roles are kind of like reversed a little bit. Um,
Well, I prefer to be the bull. I just see the market trends and I see what I see, and it leads me to be a bear, which I hate being. And I've said that repeatedly. I hate having a bearish stance. I love being a bull.
yeah, no,
I just can't
yeah.
go against my own numbers. Like when my numbers say, look, idiot, pay attention to this, and I ignore it, I get burned. So that's why I'm doing that.
I get you. No, I like whatever makes money, right? But my whole thing, I guess, is that I don't see the benefit of it until other markets that the stock is currently trading in, right, single listed, until those go digital or people single list on upstream. There's going to be no way in order to go ahead and do anything because of NBBO, right? As long as they're in, whatever market it is that they're in. That's my only issue. But I mean, obviously you disagree, so it's okay that we could agree to disagree.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I just think that these guys aren't stupid. That's just my biggest premise: is these guys aren't stupid, and they're very good at making money, and we have gotten very good at learning, and we have gotten very good at honing our techniques, doing DD. Because before, before COVID, let's face it, most of retail wasn't very good. I mean, we were okay, but we weren't good like we are now. I mean, you
Well,
got guys out there
all I
that
have
are
to say
calling
about that,
bangers.
all I have to say about that is when people started rushing to to the market, right? There was so much money to be made on way out of the money calls just because people were being ridiculous and like it.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
then
know.
people, they learned and they adapted what they were doing to overcome the adversities they were facing. Because let's face it, when that was happening, a lot of people were losing money and a lot of people were making it. Well, the people that were making it, they were learning, and the people that were losing it, well, they were learning too. And as everybody continued to learn, now you have YouTube channels like this one where there are so many people that have learned so much stuff about chart reading and doing DD and looking at the fundamentals and really understanding how trading works and what it does, that it really changes things. And so when you have now educated the people, or the people have become educated that you were robbing because they were pretty much blind and now they are not blind anymore,
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people underestimate retail way too much now, and they're going to find out. And that's just my stance on it.
Oh no, I absolutely agree with you about that, and obviously, I mean, we're all getting better every single day, but it's the process. I think that is trying, like they're trying to make it, simple, right? But in doing so, I don't know if they're, you know, gonna accomplish much. That's my
Right.
issue.
So here's my issue with all of this. Instead of going to blockchain and doing all this stuff that nobody understands and trying to explain all of this stuff to all of these people and re-educating everybody into a direction that now they get it, instead of doing all of those things, why didn't they just apply for, you've got the NASDAQ, you've got the New York Stock Exchange, you have all of these exchanges. Why not just make a retail exchange?
Well,
Why didn't these
that's
CEOs
what I'm
come
saying.
together?
Like they delist from whatever they're on and single list with upstream, and then that would literally eliminate the issues that any issues that I currently have.
Right, but upstream is such an unknown for most people. For me, it just, I don't know.
Do
For
you
me, I don't like
do you
it.
know how
And
do you
so,
but do you know how quickly you would know about it, as an average person, if I don't know, Congress went ahead and made changes on the 18th with Gary Gensler, or
right.
something along those lines. You know what I mean?
I'm probably still not switching, man. If
Well,
it's me, and I'm going to tell you why.
okay, go ahead.
Because for me, I would move much. Okay, well, I may end up switching, but I'll say it this way: I would move much faster and with no question if these guys had applied for their own exchange
Mm.
and just started a retail exchange where they set the rules and set the rules to where they can't be manipulated.
Well, honestly,
If they would have
they
done that,
okay.
I would jump on it in an instant.
I mean, well, see, my thing is literally you could go ahead and copy and paste the entire upstream like app, right, and then just list to there and tell everybody you're listening to there. And if you're a big enough company, obviously that's going to be extremely beneficial for you. You know what I mean?
Unless a lot of people are like me and they say, well, that sucks you went to upstream. I'm going to play with what options are still on the markets I trade in because I'm not going there.
Yeah, but you know what sucked for you?
What?
A huge run because they can't short there.
Well, not if you can't have a run if a lot of retail won't move. And from the people I've talked to and the amount of people that I see questioning this, I don't think you're going to have a huge influx of people. And how can you have a run if you only have a few people?
Well, if it's solely listed on upstream, which is my point, right?
Yeah.
If it's solely listed, that would differentiate it from a lot of other stocks. Okay, And money talks. So people might say that they're not going to do something, but then they might go ahead and they might end up doing it if it, obviously ends up being worthwhile. You know what I mean? So I guess I, I,
I just see
I have a
more
lot
of an
of misunderstand.
opportunity in other places.
Oh well, yes, but I also see a huge arbitrage opportunity. If we could figure out how to play it, the best way possible.
Initially. Initially.
Yes, initially until like for a very short time, but I think that there's going to be a nice chunk of change up for grabs if we could figure out, that nonsense.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Your company, you're John Inc., and you say, you know what, I really like what they're doing on Upstream. I'm going over there. It goes live. They get the SEC approval. Everything just goes like clockwork, which we know it won't, but everything just goes like clockwork. And you say, okay, I'm going to put my stuff over here. Here we go. And you have 5% of the amount of action you would have had on, say, the NASDAQ.
Well, half the NASDAQ orders are FINRA shorts. So.
But hold on a minute. So that's
okay.
50%. So now you're still losing another 40%.
Okay, so then you go ahead.
So as a company, if you're only seeing 5% of the volume that you would see somewhere else,
upwards volume,
and I don't know the number, how long is it that you stay there before you go, you know what, this isn't so great for me?
Well, if I'm not getting hit with like hard shorts, right? Then I probably would be fine.
Either.
Well, then that would be
you're not making,
due to my lack of advertisement then.
Well, no, but what if there's just not the people there to buy the stocks? That's my question. What if there's just not enough people that show up to do it?
Supply and demand, Alan.
Exactly. That's my whole point. If you have all the supply and no demand, you're not going to stay.
I mean,
that's my exact point.
Gosh.
That's why I was pushing so hard for a retail-centric, retail, somebody that something that would be, a market for retail investors, that companies that are small cap that want to come over there and just deal with the retail investors that believe in their companies. I believe that was a much better option.
Hey, Neil, can we do that?
I'm not a millionaire, so I can't make those decisions.
Hey, Neil, can we do that? Just throwing that out there. No, but
I mean, do you see what I'm saying, though?
I do, but I mean, obviously, I have like a small little bit of a disagreement on how efficient this is going to be at first. I hope it. Obviously, I hope that it's gonna be great, but the way that it was just explained to me on that space, and the way that the whole answering thing went, it made me not want to look at that company that he owns. First off, that again, not financial advice. That's just my vibe. First is that, right, and then two.
Well, I see the way you took it, but I don't really agree with you because okay. I think you just misunderstood what they were trying to get at.
I mean, I certainly could have. I'm not I'm certainly not perfect. But I don't see them being able to do it unless they were a sole list or I just feel like there's always going to be a price arbitrage opportunity until they do NBBO.
Okay, but let me ask you this, and maybe you put up a poll or something in the next couple of days.
Wait. Neil responded to me. Hold on a second. This is important. Neil, so I know that you can't be in the business, right, and have like a hedge fund or anything of that nature. What about like a retail trading exchange, like a totally just new
Jonathan,
concept?
Remember what they did with Neil? They made him retire.
Yeah, from owning a hedge fund, not as.
No, they made him retire from the stock business.
I see. I didn't know it was all the finance. That's why I was asking him.
And I don't know exactly what the actual terms are, but the other day he was talking about it
Well, I know,
in the
and
chat, and he said that they made him retire. That's why he couldn't do certain things, and I would take that to mean that he can't do anything like that.
yeah. Um, Tupa, we have people in this since like 12 cents and 11 cents. So like tanking is like what's the price? It's down 4%. It didn't tank. Um, but all right, I'm gonna let you go. I've been on all day, so
No, you're good. Just let me ask you this:
but
would you be willing to put up a poll that said, would you be more willing to go to blockchain or to go to a safe environment if there was a retail trading platform, or not platform, but a retail trading exchange that didn't allow all the fuckery to happen? Which
I'll
place would you be more apt to go to? Just see what people think.
here's what I'll do. Right, tell me to do that tomorrow when I have the most viewers. Right now, my view count is not as high as like say like a midday. Right. Ask me to do
So
it
just
then.
do it tomorrow when you have the most viewers. I don't
Well,
know how many
no.
viewers you
That's what I'm
have.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Remind me tomorrow, and I'll do it.
Okay.
I mean, why not? Right? Doesn't hurt.
I mean, why not ask people?
No, you're right. You're right. You can advise but not take part. Okay. Can you act? Well, you and I have to talk off the phone. I think.
So talk
Or
with
talk
him
on the
after
phone.
hours and ask
Yeah.
him how hard it would be to set up a retail exchange where we didn't allow shorting. Companies could come over there if they wanted to,
Yeah.
and we could set up our own rules. Find out how that works. That would be the most important thing.
Well, I'm just gonna ask him, the basic questions. I can, I don't know, go from there.
I think that's awesome. Well, I got to let you go, man, because I've got to get in the car and drive. But, dude, it's been a pleasure with you again, as always. And
Always,
I'll
brother.
chat with you later, Buzz.
All right, buddy. Catch you later. Again, please like and sub, and I am live every day at 7:45. Later, fam.